until age 25, Martina Johansson was faced with excruciatingly low energy levels. After a good amount of research, it seemed to her that the keto diet would help her get back to normal. Once she started on that diet, everything turned around for her. And a year later, she ran her first half marathon. And now there's no looking back. Here's her story.
Good morning, Martina, and welcome to the Carb Paleo Show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark. How is everyone today?
Oh, everyone is wonderful. Well, I am anyway. So everyone else has got to be wonderful as well, in that case.
Yes, sir, if you say so.
I do.
Okay. Then let's move on. Martina, it seems like our common friend Mark, this one on the TV right here, has taken a liking to you. So welcome to our show, and let's start with the basics. Can you give us your path to high-fat fitness? Doing now.
Okay. Well, high-fat fitness it's a bit more than just the paleo diet. It's my way of being fit on a high-fat diet, and it's basically the combination of ketogenic foods and heavy weightlifting. I actually found this diet by accident because I was just tired of being exhausted and sick all the time. I was a student at the university finishing my master's degree in bioengineering, so I really needed my focus, but I was so worn out that my studies were suffering. And I went to one doctor after another for help, and I did all the tests, but they all came back normal. And during this time, I had chronic stomach problems, IBS, I had chronic throat infections, a lot of anxiety, very low attention span, but I didn't know what to do about it. And at the time, I couldn't see the connection between food and health. I was just taking random vitamin pills, and they didn't make any difference for me. And it was actually a professor at my university that started to talk about the different properties of food, and that sugar, for example, could be quite inflammatory. And that's when I realized that the food could be the root cause to my health issues. So I changed my diet slowly but surely from vegetarian, low-fat diet to with a lot of carbs to a high-fat diet with almost no carbs. It's way beyond the paleo diet. It's and as my body started to heal, I got more and more energy, and I started to work out in the gym, and that was the start of my my fitness journey as well. So that's the path to high-fat fitness.
Well, I would say from the look of it, I would say you've been highly successful.
Oh, thank you.
So you advocate the low-carb, high-fat diet, also known as the keto diet. Can you explain what the keto diet is?
Well, a lot of people define this diet a bit differently, but I would say that it's at least 70% fat, and the rest is basically meat, eggs, fish, vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, etc. And for me personally, I also exclude dairy products except for butter. So it's a very strict diet compared to the paleo diet that has a lot more options. This is more of a medical diet almost, and I always eat enough fat to keep me in ketosis. So I'm always around like 80% fat.
Okay, so I'm sure you know what a lot of people, including doctors and nutritionists all over the world, are still thinking that fat is bad for us. So can you explain how you use fat, and what kind of fats do you use?
Well, I wouldn't say fat is bad. It's more neutral to the body. It's just an energy source. It's a macronutrient. So, I mean, of course, fat can be bad in excess, but I mean, a keto diet doesn't need it. You don't have to eat a lot of fat. You just have to keep your ratio high, like above 70%. And I don't eat like all types of fat. I don't eat vegetable fats, for example. My fat sources come from animals, like eggs, fatty pieces of meat, lard, butter, etc. So it's a very natural source of fat that we are built to handle.
Right. Actually, our friend Nora talked about this before. So, was it difficult to transition from your vegetarian diet?
Well, not really actually, because I was feeling pretty crappy at the time. So it was more of a relief because I ate so much carbs and so much junk food and a lot of caffeine. So, I mean, when I switched to whole foods, to real food, it was like my body really wanted to have that type of nutrition. But I can imagine that for some people it's really hard to transition from like no meat to a lot of meat. But I didn't have any problems with that actually. I didn't have any problems digesting the meat, so I thought that okay, my body really likes this.
Right. When you say a lot of meat, it's just a matter of perception. For some people, a pound of meat. For me, a pound of meat is a lot of meat. I only eat a quarter pound per serving, and it's usually once a day. And then I add a couple of eggs to that in the morning. Do you have any tricks that you'd like to share with us regarding this diet and how to transition?
Well, I have a lot of tricks, but my first thing would be to not be afraid of the fat. Like if you want to try a keto diet, you have to allow yourself calories from fat. It doesn't mean that you will gain weight, because I mean you can keep an eye on the calories if you want to. It's a matter of ratio. And as you said about the meat, I mean, for me, I'm a tiny woman, so I don't eat a lot. But my macros are like 70-80% fat. And if it comes from good sources, it will be very healing for the body. So I would really recommend to allow your body to experience that and to don't be afraid of the fat. And the other trick is to really don't skip your workouts, because training is a very essential part of being human. We are built to move. I mean, today, we sit in front of our computers all day. Just take a walk, go out, stand up, do something, just get moving. It's so important for health. So, and it's also very important for keto adaptation and for a good metabolism.
Right. Do you use a particular software or an app to help you keep up with your diet?
No, actually not. I think it's so easy to just pick really natural foods. If I go to the store and pick up like spinach or broccoli and a piece of meat or eggs, I really don't think I need to calculate the exact amounts of anything. So I just really try to get to know my body from within and just,
Right. That's a very European way to look at it. In America, they want to measure everything. So that's why apps and all sorts of gizmos like watches that calculate how many steps you've taken today and all of this, very popular in America.
Yeah, but I have one. I have a...
you have like, what, a Fitbit?
A Chinese version, but the same thing.
Okay. Does it speak to you in Chinese?
Sometimes, yeah, but I don't know what it says.
Okay. Speaking of Sweden, isn't it true that in your culture it's more acceptable to eat more fat because of the cold? Because of the cold, right?
Yeah, I think we have a culture of eating lard as a dish, and And also like bacon, but we didn't call it bacon before. It's an American word, but it's also in our culture. Yeah, because of the cold, because of like the hard work on the farms.
Yeah. The more north you go, the more fat the northern culture eat to stay warm, basically.
Yeah.
It's you know, like the Eskimos, and they're known to eat a lot of. I was in Ukraine about 15 years ago, and I was surprised to see them slice a piece of lard and just put it on a piece of bread and just a little salt on top of it, and just eat it straight up the way we would eat a ham sandwich in America.
Nice.
Is that something you do as well in Sweden?
Probably a couple of decades ago. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably maybe still in the countryside.
Yeah, definitely.
But of course, the lard has to come a very good quality, clean meat as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Not the kind that is raised in toxic environments and those huge farms and with all sorts of chemicals and grains fed.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Do you know the source of your meat, and do you pay attention to the quality of that?
Yeah, that's also very important. I really like to support farms with happy animals, free-range eggs, free-range chickens, grass-fed beef, etc. And if I can, like, go out to the farms and watch the animals or buy directly from the farmer, that's even better. So, I mean, I lived in China for 3 years, and I really struggled with that because they have really bad, they don't treat their animals very good. So I really tried to buy my meat from New Zealand and Australia, just to make sure, like, good quality and happy animals.
Right. So eating happy animals make happy people?
Yes, definitely.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
So you call yourself a Swedish biohacker. Can you explain what biohacking is to our listeners?
Well, as a biohacker, I view my body as a biological computer that can be programmed. And I realized this when I started the keto diet, that so much can be changed with a different diet, for example. So I started to experiment with a lot of stuff at the time. And as a bioengineer, I got very interested in epigenetics. And epigenetics is the science of how genes can be reprogrammed. They can be switched on and off depending on lifestyle choices. So as a biohacker, I eat and live with this in mind. I wear blue light blocking glasses, for example, during the evening to improve my sleep. I have them here. I can show you. It looks like this. And I track my physical activity. I track my pulse when I work out, my heart rate variability. I meditate regularly to build new neural pathways in my brain, and all stuff like that, just to improve my health in all the way I can.
I hear that word a lot in the paleo world. It seems like everybody is biohacking. I don't know. There's something about the term that makes me feel slightly uncomfortable, being a kind of an old guy. How can we make it sound more like user friendly? What would be certain ways, other ways that make it easier to understand for people?
Maybe to use the term health awareness, just to make conscious choices. Doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, for like my meditation, for example, that's very it's very easy just to sit down for a few minutes a day and just focus on my breathing. There's a ton of scientific evidence that it's great for the brain and great for your mood and metabolism and everything. And I mean, working out, that's also biohacking, but biohacking is a very like complex word for something very simple, because it's basically just taking care of yourself and have a very curious mind to keep investigating and keep like question your habits. Like, okay, I do this every day. Is this really good for me? I mean, so I ate a lot of dairies before when I started on the keto diet. Because dairies are often, they're super, super cheap in Sweden, and they are high fat, and I love cheese. I mean, it's amazing.
Right.
And I had to, I mean, see that, okay, cheese is maybe not the best health choice for me. My stomach can't handle it, and I don't feel very good, so maybe I have to cut it out. So that's typical, just being conscious of what's going on in your body.
Right. That wouldn't work for me. I'm French. I have to have cheese.
Yeah, it's.
But I am very picky about the quality of the cheese. So I try to eat only raw cheese. Good quality.
Wow. That's great.
We are able to find more and more in America raw cheese, goat cheese, the kind of cheese that are not as processed as some other cheese.
Goat cheese are great. Goat cheese is amazing. Yeah.
And I recently found a sheep yogurt that is really, really good.
Wow.
Sheep yogurt, yeah. So I switched from, I went from soy to goat yogurt, and now I'm into sheep yogurt. So you could say that that's sort of biohacking. In a way.
Definitely.
And another one would be sleeping, right? Don't you think that sleeping is extremely important and is a form of biohacking? Yes.
It is, to be very conscious about sleeping patterns. I mean, the quality of sleep, to get enough sleep, to make sure that your bedroom is like optimal for sleep, with enough oxygen and darkness and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I understand that, like you are also writing books. Like me, I'm sorry. You're writing books. You have a few in Swedish, and two of them are also in English. One is called the Keto Diet Guidebook, and the other one is Understanding Low Carb, High Fat Diet. Do you happen to have do you want to show it again for a little longer so we can see it? And that's available on Amazon, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So what can you tell us about your books, your English version?
Yeah, I have actually written over 10 books now, but they're all in Swedish. But Understanding Low Carb, High Fat and the Keto Guidebook, they focus a lot on the scientific aspects of the keto diet. And this guidebook also have a lot of meal plans and almost 100 recipes. And many of my readers struggle with sugar addiction. So I have really taken that into consideration. So none of the recipes will trigger overeating or stuff like that. So it's just very clean and ketogenic foods that will get the reader into ketosis real fast.
Right. So speaking of which, one of the things I tell my clients is that portion size is very important. Do you advocate? Do you recommend people measure or weigh the amount of foods they eat?
Not really, because I don't think it's necessary on the keto diet. I mean, if you want to eat 10 eggs and 2 pounds of meat, then go ahead, but you probably won't succeed in doing that. Right. So no, I don't think it's necessary on the keto diet.
Well, we have to keep in mind that there's a lot of people out there that do not pay attention to their body's signals.
Yeah.
And if they see a big plate of food, because they've been told that you have to finish your plate, they'll eat everything, even though they may, halfway through the plate, their body may say, no, I'm good, I don't need any more. So what do you say to people like this? How does one become aware of whether you have had enough food?
Well, that's a really difficult question. Maybe change to a smaller plate. Eat on these like tiny plates instead.
Okay.
or maybe just decide to have half a portion and see what that feels like. But I think that on a very strict keto diet, it's really hard to overeat, because it's just, I mean, it's really hard to overeat on like broccoli and eggs. I really think so. I can be wrong, but I think so.
Yeah. Typically for breakfast, I eat an avocado omelette, 2 eggs plus half an avocado, and that keeps me full until 1 or 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Then only I feel like, oh, maybe I should eat something. But it's not like I don't have an urge to eat something. It's more like, okay, we're 2 hours past lunchtime. Maybe I should eat something, to continue to keep my energy up until dinner.
Yeah.
I had a question that popped and it's gone now. So, okay. They'll come back. And you also have your own podcast, Keto Pod.
Yeah.
Can you tell us obviously you talk about keto, but what else do you talk about?
I usually talk about scientific things in regards to the keto diet, such as like keto and attention disorders and epilepsy and diabetes and stuff like that. So I just want to just summarize some scientific findings.
Yeah, this is actually the question that I had in mind, which eluded me for a while, is I understand that keto diet is very healthy for the brain. Can you expand on that? Can you explain how that works?
Well, one thing is that it seems like all the neurotransmitters are fired in a more controlled manner on the keto diet, because sugar or blood sugar can really elevate certain neurotransmitters, such as epinephrine or dopamine, and in extreme cases that can trigger seizures, for example, but mostly just a lack of focus and being fidgety and having racing thoughts, for example. I was suffering from that myself. I had a very low attention span when I ate a lot of carbs, and it's like the whole brain just calms down, and it's just really good for focus. And so that's one thing. And then it's also very healing for the brain. There's a lot of research about people with Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease, that they can not just reverse the disease, but not quite reverse, but they can see some improvements. So obviously a very high fat diet have some protective qualities to the brain. So that's really cool.
Well, we also have to keep in mind our brain is like, 70%, 80% fat?
Yeah, exactly.
And so the quality of the fat is very important. If you eat a lot of omega-6, that will be detrimental to the brain.
Yeah.
So you need to focus more on omega-3 fatty acid, which tends to help with neurotransmitters and information passage. So in that case, you probably heard about this this lady that wrote a book about healing her, or at least improving her husband Alzheimer with Mct coconut oil. Yeah. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I really think it works. I've read so much about it, and I've seen some evidence in the scientific literature as well. So yeah, I really believe that.
What would be a recommended amount to take a day, for example?
I think it's enough with 1 tablespoon. I eat about 1 to 2 tablespoons in my coffee every morning, so I think that would be sufficient. It can be a bit hard on the stomach if you overdo it. Yeah.
So is it the coconut oil or MCT? Can you explain the difference? And first, what is MCT?
MCT it's in the coconut oil. So when you make MCT, it's actually artificial because you have to produce it. So coconut oil is the main source, and I prefer that one because it's more natural. MCT is other types of fatty acids. I don't know the names right now, but
medium chain fatty acid, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's the abbreviation, but the types of fats. But
Okay.
they are all in the coconut oil anyway, so I think it's enough to just go with the coconut oil.
Okay, because I've seen the stores, I've seen where they sell MCT separately, especially when it comes to the paleo diet. Apparently, it's a big thing now with what is that, coffee with like MCT oil in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can never remember the name of it.
Bulletproof coffee.
Yeah, this guy that became famous just on doing that, which I don't know if you know, but it's actually copied from the Tibetan monk.
Yeah, I know.
They do a tea with yak butter in it, and that's what gives them the energy to survive the cold and the high altitude. I guess Mark, it's your turn.
Ooh, thank you very much. It's all been thoroughly interesting. Thank you, Martina.
Thank you.
I think one of the things we need to sort of dial into, you've covered it briefly, but more specifically, what are the best fats for us to eat?
I think it's fats from animals, like a fatty piece of meat, eggs, egg yolks. That's great. Lard, for example, avocados, great source of fat. Avocado oil, olive oil, also great. Butter, butter is awesome.
Grass-fed butter.
Yeah, grass-fed butter, of course.
Right.
Perfect.
And on the other end of the scale, what are the fats that we should steer clear of?
I think most vegetable oils from like rapeseed oil and I don't know the names.
Canola oil.
Canola, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Canola oil.
Yeah, and all the artificial fats in artificial foods, like all the trans fats, and that's very detrimental.
Super job. Yeah. So I mean, let's just pop over to your podcast, Keto Pod.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you start doing that particular podcast?
Oh, I was just curious about making a pod, and I just wanted to try to talk about scientific topics in regards to keto. So I just thought that, okay, maybe I should try to make a podcast just to see how it goes. So it was not so serious.
And who are your sort of typical audience? Who is the ideal person to jump on and listen?
It's mostly people that have been following the keto diet for many years, just like me. And there's a lot of keto people in Sweden, for example, but also Northern Europe, super popular. And also people that use the keto diet to treat epilepsy and mental disorders, and also other type of health issues. So yeah.
Excellent. And then you obviously provide, I use the term, the scientific slant about what's going on in the keto world then.
Yeah, I love that. I'm really into science, and I really want to see how and why things are working. So I usually go that way, scientific route.
Super. Now your book that you showed us earlier, can you show it to us again?
Sure. Here it is. Woo.
The Keto Guidebook. Now, obviously, a guidebook is something that's going to offer a guide to people. Who are the ideal people to pick that up and go through it?
The ideal people would be maybe someone that have tried a low carb diet before and enjoyed it. Maybe someone that follow a paleo diet, but wants to really take things a bit further and see, okay, maybe I can really use this type of food to heal my health issues, like maybe people with attention disorders, or really stubborn IBS that won't go away, or like me. I mean I'm in the I'm a bodybuilder. I mean, it feels like ridiculous to say that because I'm so tiny, but I'm into fitness and I compete in fitness. And for me, the keto diet is really a game changer because it allows me to have really low body fat percentage and at the same time as I'm building muscles.
So would it be something that we see these fitness models going through hell and torture in order to get the body they want to win competitions? Is it something that they could follow in order not to have such a hard time winning the competitions?
Yes, I do think so, actually. I put together a team in Sweden for, I think it was 2 years ago, Team Keto, where I coached 5 or 6 girls to the stage. They competed in a female physique and bikini fitness, and it was just the very, like a super strict low carb ketogenic diet, and yeah, it worked. And I have been competing myself, so I think that the current fitness diet, that's just not a very healthy way to eat and live in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of them go through, let's say hell and torture as far as I'm concerned, just to try and win competitions. And there's got to be a better way, and keto does seem the better way.
It is, definitely.
So again, would your book be more geared towards people who want to heal their body as well?
Yes, I would say that. It's not so much about fitness, it's not so much about losing weight, but just to try to heal the body as the first stage. And my philosophy is that weight loss comes second. Like after everything's working the way it's supposed to, then you will lose weight. Don't just rush to lose as much as possible without having everything else in order, because we have like 30 hormones just to regulate our weight. So it's not so easy just to cut the calories and then you're done. It just doesn't work like that.
Excellent. Well, that's all the little questions that I pulled out from what you were talking about earlier.
Okay.
It's again been thoroughly interesting. Thank you for everything you've covered.
Thank you.
People are going to want to know about where they can get hold of your book and where they can get hold of more information, and particularly the things that we've been talking about today. Where can they get hold of all that information, your websites and so on?
Well, my book can be found on Amazon, unless you live in the US. Then you can just go to Barnes & Nobles or any bookstore and pick it up from the shelf. And it's purple, so yeah, easy to recognize. And you can find me on Instagram, High Fat Fitness, and I have a blog, highfatfitness.com, and I'm also on YouTube, also High Fat Fitness, and I also blog a lot in Swedish, martinajohansson.se. If you speak Swedish, you can read that. Otherwise, it will be very tricky.
Yeah, Dawn, I've been trying to learn Swedish for a long time. Maybe that'll give me an incentive.
Yeah.
Super job. I think it's probably time for us to do the close, unless there's anything else you want to mention, Martina.
No, I'm happy.
Jolly good.
Yeah.
Right.
Alain, back to you.
Yeah, and don't forget to laugh now. Okay, here we go. Thank you again, Martina, for being on the Low Carb Paleo show and sharing your story with us. And like we say in Texas, à votre santé, y'all.
That's the joke.
That's the joke. Maybe I'll have to translate it.
Yeah.
It's a combination. It's a joke because it's a combination of French. À votre santé means to your health. And y'all is a way for Texan to say you